Hello, everybody. Welcome to Browns and Beyond, your home for Cleveland Browns content, NFL content, and other sports content. If you're enjoying the show, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you stay locked in with all the latest sports content. All right, boys, welcome aboard. We're getting ready for the NFL season. The day has came. It is Thursday, the start of the season. You guys looking forward to NFL football or what? What do we got here, guys?
Oh, guys, I'm excited, Brent. Man, I can't wait. We got a football game Sunday. Oh, man, am I excited.
Yeah.
I love it. Week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I'm pumped up. I actually looked at the schedule, and I know we're going to get into this later, but there are some great football games this week, guys. Some really good matchups that I'm really looking forward to. The Browns get started. I'm trying to remain optimistic, but I'm just excited football season's here.
Absolutely. We've got the preview coming up on Sunday, so we're definitely looking into that. Today we're going to get in some news and notes about the Cleveland Browns and the NFL as well. So we will start with the Cleveland Browns, and let's get into the Cleveland Browns running back situation and the status of Quinshon Judkins. Kind of want to get the status of that, and we will start with Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, kind of fill us in about the Browns running back situation.
All right, boys. So Mary Kay Cabot, who covers the Browns, she said that Judkins could return any day, possibly in time for Week 1. However, I don't believe that that's going to be the total truth. It's been said, it's been stated. The contract has not been signed yet, guys. And I believe that everyone is awaiting the NFL ruling by the NFL. And I think he would sign. I don't think there's a problem there, no dispute there, but they're waiting on the NFL to make the decision, and that's what's holding everything up. In fact, Tony Grossi,
yes,
he said
I heard this.
There's a 0% chance he will play in Week 1 and expect a suspension of 2 to 4 games.
Good call, by the way, Steve. I think you speculated at 4 games.
I did.
Yeah.
In
Well, my call
episodes.
got like 5, even though they didn't bring the charges against him. So 4 could be right.
So when are we expecting to get a ruling from the commissioner?
Well, I guess we don't know that yet, but we got the ongoing league investigation, and it's uncertain, and it's holding up the contract and the signing of Judkins. So nothing's been said yet. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. They're kind of pushing it to the side. Is they're avoiding the conversation with Judkins.
Well,
many are.
Here's the thing: the organization isn't saying anything, Brent. I heard that Mary Kay Cabot quote. She says the Browns are mum, and she says, and I quote: when you try to bring up this name with anybody, and everybody goes blank. Nobody will utter a word.
Yeah.
It's almost like
I've
everybody's
heard
been handed
that,
a script, and the script is we have no update. Stefanski is we really can't comment on this situation. And
that's all they're saying.
Yeah.
No update.
Yeah.
It's crazy. At least they're staying on the same page, I guess. But we want to see that he's coming back.
Yeah, but you can see this is very script oriented.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Steve, any more final thoughts on the running back situation? I guess maybe in terms of some of the other players and the outlook.
Well, Brent, with Judkins not being able to play, expect Jerome Ford to be your starter in Week 1. Mm-hmm. Ford backed up Nick Chubb, and he's likely your starter. He should get the majority of the carries on Sunday. He's been known to run the ball. He can also line up as a receiver and catch balls. I doubt he'll be doing that as much, but expect him to get most of the load. Dylan Sampson, a rookie out of Tennessee, he's expected to be the backup to Ford. I could see him being more of like a third down back in this game, or there's also the possibility of splitting the carries with Ford.
Well, some would say that that's why maybe they didn't give Strong a heavy workload. I remember we watched a lot of preseason together, Steve, and we kept on commenting.
They wanted to keep Sampson healthy.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Keep him healthy.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need us.
That makes sense because
we need to rely on him.
He's going to be used more.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I don't think many are playing after that. That you're going to see Ford and Sampson.
Yeah, pretty much, I think.
Coach Stefanski, he still expects a sound running game, even with Judkins out. He expects everyone to play their role, from lineman to receiver, in the handling of the run game.
Okay, well said, Steve. We will turn to Mr. Dave Greenshield. Dave, give us your thoughts on the Browns running back situation and the status of Mr. Judkins.
Well, as I said, and the Mary Kate Cabot report says a lot. I do think that the league is going to come down on a suspension here. Roger Goodell has taken a heavy hand in situations, especially in domestic situation, especially when it's involving women. I was surprised that no photos came out, no video came out here, guys, and I heard it was a closed fist. So, a guy,
not good,
Mr. Judkins' size tends to maybe leave a mark here. So this could be a bad situation. I'm sure the league is reviewing all of that before they render a decision. My thing is, how much does this hamper his, from a Browns fan perspective, his ability to get on the field this season, especially as a rookie? The situation just seems to be getting more difficult for the Browns and him. I was really counting on him to be a contributor this season. I went as far as to say, if he played 15 or 16 games, he'd be an 11 to 1,200 yard back. And that's what's needed in the Stefanski offense.
Absolutely.
If this team is going to improve...
Flacco would do well with that.
Exactly.
At least 1,100 yards is what you need.
Exactly, Steve. And if we could have gotten that out of him, that makes the play-action game work. That's what Stefanski wants to do.
And Flacco doesn't have wheels, so you need that balance.
Exactly. And that was the biggest reason I loved when we hired Kevin Stefanski. I thought he would build our offense around the run game. Dalvin Cook, when he was the OC in Minnesota in 2019, maybe had his best season with him as OC. I thought when he got here, we rebuilt the offensive line. We had Chubb, we had Hunt, and we were going to run the football. And when the Stefanski offense has been at its best, the running game has been strong. There's no question.
That's true.
So I've always felt that he is a much needed in between the tackles runner and every down back. Again, to make this offense work. The more this goes on, it seems to be, really potentially good to put his rookie season in jeopardy, I have to say. The Browns took action on Tuesday, by the way. Steve, your buddy, reserve running back Pierre Strong, is no longer part of... I know you were a big fan, Steve.
He's the highlight of a preseason every year.
Yeah, that whole 212 yards from scrimmage in 14 games was awesome. Not so great. The Browns, I don't know if you saw, they did sign Raheem Sanders out of South Carolina. He's probably going to be, maybe third or fourth on the depth chart. I agree. It's going to be pretty much the Ford and Sampson show going forward.
Yes.
That leaves Jerome Ford probably as the number one option. In 31 games and 18 starts, he's carried the ball 308 times, 1,378 yards, 7 touchdowns. To me, he's just never been that explosive guy in the run game. You know why it was, Steve? Because we were always kind of comparing what we used to have with Nick Chubb. That was the frustration, right?
Yes. God, we could use him right now.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, his services are in Houston.
Yep.
The Browns have not shown a lot of confidence in Ford as a long-term RB1. He only stayed on the roster, by the way, because he accepted a pay cut, by the way. I would add that. It'll be interesting to see, how much of a role Dylan Sampson has. As we talked about, we didn't see him much in preseason. It's going to be interesting to see just how the carries are divided going forward. I'm optimistic about Sampson. He was the best running back in the SEC, but he's a little undersized. Somebody said 5'8". He says, well, I saw him in practice. He was shorter than Gabriel. And
he's small, man.
That run quarterback that Brent seems to like from time to time.
He's 5'11". Doesn't it sound like a guy that's trying to justify the girl? Like, hey,
exactly.
5'11" is keep
and a half. I heard that's what they're putting on the dating apps these days. Okay, but it'll just be interesting to see how the carries are divided and how much of a role he's got in this offense. Again, for the Stefanski offense to work, we've got to have a running game.
Yeah, very well said, Dave. All right, we're going to get into our next topic, and that is the expectations for the Browns this season. What coaches and players will kind of stand out, and also maybe make some comments on some players and coaches that would regress. And we will turn to Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, give us some coaches and some players that stand out, and also maybe some ones that took a step back. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, guys. Well, first off, the Browns as a whole, they're looking to reform and establishing an identity. I like this zone blocking scheme with the running game and the play-action passing, getting more tight ends out there like Stefanski likes, like he did both in his days here and in Minnesota.
12 personnel, yep. 2 tight ends.
The Browns know their strengths, and they're going to go after them this year. They're not going to go back to schemes and things that didn't work. All that stuff that didn't work, they're going to learn from the whole Watson debacle. And that's huge. that's a strength in itself. Just to learn from that, you're not going back to that. You're going to what works.
Yeah.
Stefanski is calling the plays again, but I do think his coordinators will help him like they did in 23.
Tommy Reese, Steve. Tommy Reese, Steve.
I don't expect a whole lot on Tommy Reese on the sideline there. He's there more to help the quarterbacks in practice and things like that.
It's Stefanski's show. Let's be honest.
It is.
Steve.
It's a Stefanski show. But Stefanski doesn't like to address the defense as much. That's my opinion.
Right.
Jim Schwartz can handle that. So maybe he'll be okay to get back to it. Everyone said, let him get back to this again. We wanted it to go away, and now they're ready for it to come back because of that whole Watson everything going on last year with that. Now we're excited to have him back.
Hey, what is your guys' thoughts about Stefanski as a play caller, by the way? I wanted to get that out there. I know we've approached that subject.
Mine is a little bit different than
Go
Steve
ahead.
Retzer. I actually feel with the right personnel, he's actually pretty decent. He's a decent play caller. But it's typically, what is it? It's a guy that lives in the pocket.
Yes.
It's not a rollout guy. It's more of somebody that does play action very well. So we've only seen a few. I don't think Baker Mayfield is a perfect fit, but he's better than some of the other ones.
Yes.
Because Baker's a little bit of a hybrid. He's a little bit of a pocket guy, but he does also some rollout.
Yes.
But Flacco, Kirk Cousins back in his Vikings days, and I would say who else kind of fits that bill? It wasn't Watson.
No.
Watson is more.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
He's the type of quarterback you put in the shotgun, spread teams out with receivers, let him utilize his legs and his athleticism to create.
Yeah.
He's kind of a Lamar type. You've got to let him create. Stefanski wants his quarterbacks to play under center a lot of the times too.
Yes.
And that was that was always the thing that we questioned about Watson. Watson played a lot of his time in Houston from the shotgun, and and in spread offenses. I think he wants his quarterback to work under center. Now, I do think Baker did make that work. Now, remember, it took a while for Baker to get going, even in that COVID year, because he didn't hit his stride until he went to Tennessee and blew up.
Wait to hear this. I actually think Baker Mayfield and Stefanski would be a good fit more now than they would be, because Baker has done better in the pocket in the most recent years at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Baker learned.
Don't you think?
He's become a much better quarterback.
So I think that Stefanski. You hear people. I know Steve's family has made comments.
A play caller?
I'm not as big of him as a play caller. More of an offensive coordinator, not a head coach calling the plays.
Okay.
Does that make sense? If he was just my offensive coordinator, I could live with that. I just don't like him being my head coach calling the plays, Dave.
But I don't really think that we've seen enough for the Cleveland Browns with Kevin Stefanski from a play calling standpoint, because I don't think they've had the personnel. And I think the one player they've had that's pretty much been money has been Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
And that's the 23 season. The rest, he's kind of had to deal with some stuff that's not a good fit.
Well, to be fair, me and Steve have talked about this before. He got the most in 23 out of Dorian Thompson-Robinson's, P.J. Walker, and then Flacco. I mean,
that's true.
Multiple. Watson, he had a little bit that year, but he had to rotate all these quarterbacks in. Now, they had the great defense, Mirage maybe, Brent. But
But that's what won him Coach of the Year.
Exactly.
Being able to play with 5 or 6 different quarterbacks.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Steve's got a good point, though, about him being a head coach, though. He does tend to give more love to the offensive side. And being a head coach, right, Steve, there's more going on there, right? You have to you have to manage personalities, different players, different, the overall architecture. And he has been more, focused on the offense. But back to Steve.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So, I'm going to get back into Joe Flacco. I mean, obviously, as we just said, he's proven he can play in the Stefanski system, and he can win games. I mean, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
So that's a good expectation in 25. Stefanski and Flacco know how to win games together. That's what we want to see is wins. That gets me excited, especially for the opening games here early. I do think that this is a little wild here, but I think Flacco will be a little more mobile than people put him out to be in 25. He can be involved in this play action. He's not going to be just a statue standing in the pocket. I see him evading a little bit. They're going to be working more together. They were on just a 6-game.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You follow what I'm saying? They had a 6-game
more time to prepare.
In one playoff. They had more time to. They worked all off season. They're going to have all season to go. So that's a major factor in the Flacco and Stefanski magic and how that is going to be magical this year, as long as he stays healthy.
Right.
I believe that I'm very pumped up, guys, for these double tight end sets.
Yes.
With rookie Harold Fannin Jr. and veteran David Njoku. I'm curious to see who's going to have more yards this year receiving. I think they're both going to be good blocking this year as well.
Are you going to make a Cedric Tillman reference here soon, Steve? I wouldn't be an episode if you didn't talk about your guy Cedric Tillman.
I want to see if Joe Flacco will get the ball to Cedric Tillman because Jameis Winston did it, and he threw like 30, 40 yards. Flacco's got quite a cannon.
Yeah.
I mean, you might see like a 50-yard pickup for Cedric Tillman for a touchdown.
Well,
he might have 2 catches all day, and one might be for 40 yards.
Okay, let me throw this out here real quick, Steve. Who has better numbers this year, Tillman or Thrash?
Tillman.
Okay. All right, you're sticking with your
Thrash, Thrash, they went to more because they wanted to see what he could do. I think they do have a decent sample size on Tillman.
Yeah. Thrash had that good preseason, though, Steve.
Yeah, Thrash had a great
I think it'll be
preseason.
Thrash. I do.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
think
do.
bigger than Tillman?
I do.
I mean,
I think
Tillman's a tall target. Tillman's tall.
Let's be honest. He's a Steve Retzer reunion guy, and he's privy to baked beans and maybe a salad and green beans and cornbread, and everyone else is, not invited. I mean,
think my invite to this family reunion got lost in the mail.
yeah. Even Greenchill can't even go.
I will say this. I seem to be the only guy that's standing by Tillman's side, but stand by him, and that's what I'm going to do, guys.
Stand by your man.
Stand by your man.
Yeah, no
Remember
doubt.
Leslie Hunt used to tell me that, and it's a true statement. So I'm going to
yeah.
stand by him. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get to a little bit of the defense. I'm excited to see rookie Carson Schlesinger at linebacker. Go out to be a leader on this defense. See if he gets some of the most tackles on the team. I'm excited for Denzel Ward. As we know, if he can be healthy, he can shut down any opposing team's starting receiver. I do think he's going to be healthy for once. We're being optimistic here that he stays healthy.
He's played more games than people give him credit for. I think he's started like 14 or more games the last few years. To me, the key is if they have another injury, because the Emerson injury was bad enough. They can't form another injury.
And that's what I'm going to get into, Dave. Yeah. I'm excited. High expectations for Greg Newsome Jr. He's finally getting a starting nod with Emerson out for the year.
Yep.
I think he deserves it. I'm excited for him. I think he deserves the opportunity. I do think he's going to play well. Other teams are going to challenge him. The Bengals in Week 1 are definitely going to challenge him. I mean, I just think that can he prove that he can be a starter in this league, not just be relied on as a nickel back. That's going to be interesting to see. I think he can, and then when Emerson comes back, then that's a good problem to have with a big secondary, with 3 guys that are really good. So, Greg Newsome, let's see what you can do. I'm excited for Myles Garrett. Jim Schwartz said this will be his biggest year. I want to get him back to that 23 defense. I'm not saying they're going to be number 1, but even if they could be like a middle of the pack, a 12 to 15 range or something like that would make me happy. They should be able to play better with improved quarterback play, obviously,
that
versus
could help.
Watson. That'll be motivating the defense to play better. So the defense expect us, be excited about the defense. Actually,
I
that they're going to be playing better, even with a couple of the injuries. And then in closing, guys, I mean, there's rookies that we're real excited to see. As we know, Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, I think that you're going to see all these guys play. The rookies are going to have an impact and high expectations in 25 because so many injuries occur for the Browns. That I think that you're going to see. I'm going to tell you, I think we're going to see Sanders. I think obviously we're going to see Dylan Gabriel first. Do think we're going to see Sanders. So. Like I was saying, Harold Fannin Jr. should have a nice rookie campaign. Real good expectations for these guys. I think Barry nailed it a little bit, so I'm excited about Barry. And I usually don't say this because he had a better draft.
Make or break.
But not Stefanski, just Barry.
As our talk right now, he's had a better draft. Now, will these guys perform and do it in the regular season in games.
They better, because they need to maybe save his job.
Yes, he could be on the hot seat.
Can we both say this year that this is make or break for Barry?
Correct.
Might not be make or break though for Stefanski.
I'm on your side. That's correct.
So
right there.
You think even if it goes bad, Stefanski still keeps his job?
Correct.
I think Barry would be the first to go if it had to be.
Right.
I think Stefanski could be on the hot seat if he doesn't win enough games. I still think he could. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I think we all know it was Jimmy, and I still think Barry was also heavily involved in the Watson decision. I really do. I mean, you think Barry was also in, or do you?
Well, I think Depot.
Oh, Depot.
Depot. I think it was Jimmy, Depot, and Barry.
Okay.
I got a feeling Stefanski wanted no part of it. The reason why I say that, because Steve Retzer and I talked back then at that time, and wasn't there some issues?
It looked staged. When they did interviews, me and Brent know this. It looked staged, like Watson said to Stefanski, "I'm excited to play for him," and vice versa. Well, and it never clicked. It didn't really have the connection. It felt like they were reading off a script or something.
Yeah, it seemed fake.
It was fake. It was Jimmy Haslam telling them what to say. That's how I feel.
Well, the rumors
there was never a connection.
The rumors at the time
it was forced. It was made to be
forced marriage.
Yes, it was a forced marriage. Yep.
Just like they were forced to run that scheme last year with all the receivers and
trying to run some spread.
Spread. Thank you. The spread offense. Yeah. That was forced
with Dorsey.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Although the rumors I heard at the time is that Watson and Stefanski met, and Watson came out of it. I think Watson layered things up that it was going to be all sunshine and roses because he had to, because they gave him a ton of dough.
Yeah, it seemed fake.
Yeah,
it did.
I tend to agree with you guys.
Okay. All right, we will move on to Mr. Dave Greenshield. As far as your expectations for the Browns this season, what players and coaches stand out, and if any took a step back. All right, Dave, give us your thoughts on that.
Well, I first of all, I think it's proper to set the right expectations for this season, and we obviously already did our season preview. Steve, I believe you picked them at 6-11, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe we both did.
Okay.
Me and Dave both.
Brent, you didn't make a season prediction. Did you? Do you have a leaning one way?
6-11.
Okay. I was between 5-12 and 6-11, and I've seen a lot of magazines that have said that this could be a 4-win, maybe even 3-win football team. So, there's a lot of folks outside of the Browns community that are very down on this team. That being said, I do think, an NFL team that even has a losing season, there are some positives that could come out of that season if it doesn't go well. And I really feel that when you look at this team, it's going through a rebuild. We just have to say this is a rebuilding football team. Is it fair to say we're in a rebuild mode? Okay? And if we're in a rebuild mode, for me, I need to look towards the future. I need to think about, what this roster is going to look like down the road. And it's time to start to look towards that future. And let's start with the most important position, and that's the quarterback position. We've been talking about a lot. Fans have been talking about a lot all preseason. We'll start with Joe Flacco at quarterback. We may all love Joe. We know Steve does.
I do.
One of his man crushes.
Comeback player of the year, 23.
But
in a small sample size.
In a small sample size. But Steve, we all know, Brent, we all know, he's not the future.
Correct.
And that is correct.
Let's be fair.
Not the long term.
Not the long-term future. And we need to, as this franchise, to turn the chapter and look to the future. And I'm a believer that we will see all three of these quarterbacks this season. Are you guys a believer that we're going to see Gabriel, Sanders, and Flacco?
I am. I mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
And you're going to see Gabriel first, but you'll see Shador as well.
Okay.
Injuries happen.
I'm going to start with Dylan Gabriel, the Brent Keaton bromance. That's his guy.
Brent loves him.
I was encouraged by the preseason, and he'll be getting starts. By the end of the season. I said water pistol for an arm. I gave him too hard of a time, Brent. But
sound like Grossi over here.
Yeah, but you know what? In looking at it, he has a strong enough arm. The preseason did lay out that rest. To some extent, it did lay that to rest to some extent. I'm still concerned about his size. Not crazy about the undersized quarterbacks. Got to be real with you. But the bottom line is we are talking about just preseason. He looked good, but he needs to do this against the first-team defenses, and he needs to do it with the first-team offense. He didn't get a chance to – played against a lot of defenses with players who aren't even going to be on the roster anymore. So he does have the positives. Brent, you've always talked about it. He gets rid of the ball quick. He's a good decision maker.
Yes.
He's fairly accurate, and he takes care of the football. And I think that's what Stefanski is looking for. I think that's why you're saying he fits better in the Stefanski offense.
Absolutely.
And Stefanski's confident in him too, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants it to happen. He wants him to,
Yes, he does.
I'm not with all these conspiracy theorists out there who are saying that they set up Shador to fail. I mean,
No.
miss me on that.
Steve Retzer's not one of them either.
Well, president of the Shador Sanders fan club, Steve
Not at all.
The most how's that for segue? Let's talk about the most talked about 5th round draft pick quarterback of all time. By the way,
all time.
Yeah, all time is true.
Yeah, Steve Retzer's bromance. It seems like the Carolina game was like years ago. By the way, yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
It's like been a while ago.
I'll give you that. It does seem a while back.
It does seem like a while back, even though it was just
a month ago.
Yeah. He did show some really positives. The ability to put the ball into some windows. He showed that arm talent. He put the ball in good spots for receivers. He showed really good mobility. I think there was a feeling coming out of college he was more of a pure pocket guy, but I thought he showed some good wheels in that game. He did get outside the pocket, make those throws outside the structure. It was the second preseason game where the wheels started to come off the wagon, and the concerns started to come out. Not getting rid of the ball quickly, escaping those pockets. Steve even got a text from his ex talking about what's he doing running backwards.
Yeah, running backwards.
That was awesome.
Kayla said, "What's he doing, Steve?"
Yeah.
That preseason game probably put him in the third quarterback spot. But let me ask you, wasn't he already in the third quarterback spot to begin with? I think he was.
No, he was QB4.
Yeah.
No, he was 4. He didn't move
4.
up because
Pickens
Pickens was 3.
But even if he would have
2. Pickens would have
let's
been
put
2.
this out here though. Even if he played great against the Rams, he played just as good against the Rams as he did against Carolina, and Gabriel didn't necessarily play well. Do you think he would have been 2? I don't know if he would have been 2.
Stefanski still would have Gabriel ahead. Even if Shador was lights out.
Yeah, he's
Shador,
right.
It's just what Stefanski's doing. It's political, Dave. It's a little bit political.
Okay.
I don't think it's just about ability. It's a little bit political.
But to be fair, if Jimmy had a say in it, it'd probably be what Steve wanted.
Yes,
that's true,
and that could be as well. So I'll give you that.
Are we saying that Steve Retzer and Jimmy Haslam are simpatico? Because I think
that's
they're buddies. I see them
they email each other.
And he answers.
He responded to him one time.
He did respond.
I have my doubts about Shador. Much like Dylan, let's see what he does with first-team starters and against first-team defenses. The bottom line is this fan base has been really encouraged. Would be really encouraged, if one of these quarterbacks was able to shine. We need to at least see a few games where they played really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, if they gave us a sample size of 3 or 4 games that they strung together solid production, where the QB rating was good, where if they passed the eye test, let's say for 3 or 4 games, that would only give the Browns. It would give us a little bit of hope. And it would also maybe force management to make a decision in the offseason to say, do we need to go back in the draft and take another quarterback?
They got 2 first-round picks, they could use one.
Yeah,
but they need to come to that conclusion. They got to figure out.
They got to know. Yeah. They all have to have a chance to play.
I just want to get to the draft picks, kind of in summarizing here.
Sure.
This is a big draft for Barry. His drafts have not bared a lot of fruit. I can dare say his best draft pick is JOK, and he's going to be out for the season. So, the more I've looked at it, I wasn't crazy about this draft to begin with, and we kind of talked about it after the draft. But the more I look at it, I think this can end up being a really solid draft. I'm not saying it's going to be that 2018 Dorsey draft, which is the best Browns draft they've had ever since they came back, where they obviously got Chubb, Ward, and Baker. But I think this draft could help Mr. Barry's job security. Let's start with Mason Graham. My man crush, right, Steve? Right, Brad?
Yeah. You keep talking about him like when we're not even on air. You keep talking about him
all the time.
You like this guy?
I'll just say this. I didn't think he was necessarily a top 5 pick. And the other big thing, guys, I don't know if you thought about that at the time. I thought the Browns had offensive needs. And I was a believer if we weren't going to take a quarterback, let's get an impact skill player. You know what I mean? Or let's get somebody that can move the needle on offense.
I wonder if they were trying to help Myles Garrett out, how he signed that extension, decided to stay with us. Maybe Mason Graham was part of that.
Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, I think he could have an impact in improving what was a weak area on the Browns, which is their run defense.
Yeah, they couldn't stop the run.
21st last year against the run. That was his biggest strength in college. My part about him that I doubted is he wasn't a really great pass rusher. And if we're going to take a guy with a top 5 pick, he better not only play the run well, but he also better be a really good pass rusher. So, that was kind of my doubts about him. But I do think he will have, a solid impact, and he could be a really good player for years to come. The other impact rookie I want to get into is Carson Schlesinger. Now, this was a guy I also was down on. Again, I thought that the Browns needed to look at offense. And I was like, 2 picks in a row. The Browns don't take offense. And they draft Schlesinger, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I stood back for a second. I took a look at it, and I understand that we lost JOK to start the season, and that the linebacker position, was, and then we lose Jordan Hicks to retirement, which wasn't good. So this could be the guy that must be needed to have a really good year. He can play the run. And in watching his highlights, he was a really good blitzing linebacker. They brought him on blitzes at UCLA, and he was able to get in and pressure the quarterback and even get sacks. I think he's a guy that could really have a solid future for this Browns team at the linebacker position. I'm looking forward to watching him play. Had a great preseason, didn't he, Steve?
Oh, absolutely, he did, Dave. I'm excited for him.
So the bottom line is, if the Browns find 2 quality defensive starters for years to come, that's a pretty good start to the draft. Let's just start with that. Now, I wanted to get into the 2 offensive starters that I liked in this draft. Dylan Sampson. This is a guy I liked when they drafted him. He was the best running back in the SEC. He may have that larger role in this offense, as we mentioned earlier, especially with the Judkins situation. I do think it's a platoon situation with him and Ford. You pretty much think the same thing, right, Steve?
I do.
Okay. Well, I didn't realize this. The Browns ranked 31st in rushing TDs last year. By the way, great red zone back. He had 22 rushing touchdowns last year at Tennessee. So he's great inside the red zone. So even if he is a solid number 2 back, I think that's worthy of that 3rd round pick of where they took him at. The guy that I really, really like, Steve, I'm with you. I'm 100% around Harold Fannin. I loved him at Bowling Green. He had a monster year. Last year, I made a case that he could have won the Mackey Award, even
over the better than Tyler Warren
over Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. They played against each other last year in college, and Fannin actually had better numbers when they played against each other.
I watched a little bit of that game.
Yeah, and Warren
Penn State,
and Bowling Green. It was actually a close game. I think it was.
It was close for a long time.
Yeah, 1 possession game. I'm excited to see, best friend of a young quarterback can be a really good tight end, by the way. Next to a good running game, the tight end could be really, really helpful to a young quarterback. It'd be interesting to see once Gabriel and Sanders get in there, how much they choose to target him. He's a fantastic route runner. He gets yards after the catch. It's going to be really interesting to see how big of a role he has in this offense. I'm excited to see him. The bottom line is it's possible the Browns may have found 4 impact players in one draft. And we haven't been able to say that about too many Browns drafts. So that's the thing I think as Browns fans that we need to be optimistic about. We need to look forward to. Let's see what these young guys can do, and maybe these are the future starters of the Cleveland Browns.
Well said, Dave. All right, I will give you my expectations for the season and key players. I think my big thing is the backup, and I'm going to go back to Dylan Gabriel. You knew that was coming.
Yes, I did.
The biggest reason why I like him is because he had that great college career.
Yeah.
He's got the most experience. He played big games for Oklahoma, big games for Oregon.
He did.
He beat the Buckeyes. He lost to the Buckeyes, but bottom line, he's got the reps. And I feel like he gets the ball out on time, quick decision. He's got a little Tom Brady in that respect because Tom Brady was very quick. But as far as release.
Okay.
We're talking about just the release.
Okay.
He's got the quick release. Not all quarterbacks have that.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson didn't have a quick release. We finally had that with Gabriel. I feel like Flacco's going to play first 6-7 games. Get back from London. We're going to put Gabriel in. We're going to see what he's got.
Okay.
And then we talk about the Shedeur thing. I think Shedeur Sanders. I told you guys what I felt a couple of, I think it was in passing a few weeks ago. I told you guys, I said it in jest. Bottom line is this. I don't think he's going to do good this year. I feel like he's going to need that offseason coach. I said he'll need to be coached up. I do. He just doesn't have the basics down. And I don't think you can do that overnight. I think he's going to need a coach for the offseason. Go ahead, Steve.
Make your case.
Brent, if he got drafted by another team, is he a player in development, or would he be able to play right away?
No, player in development.
Still in development, even for another team?
No, there's too many. I think everybody's got their starter. And not just that. Dave did say what he said about the Colorado days.
Yeah.
He drifted back. He
escapes the pocket a little too quickly.
The Big 12.
He took advantage of those bad Big 12 defenses. That was my concern. Now, I do think there is legit arm talent there.
Absolutely. He can make good throw into clutch. He can.
You saw that against Carolina. He can make high-level throws that I don't think your guy
in tight windows.
He can, but you know what he doesn't have? He doesn't have the mind. It's not fast enough.
Okay.
It's got to be fast. It's got to be out on time. It's got to be thrown in stride.
Okay.
The ball's going to get released, and you can't teach release that easy. He will be able to adjust to that, but I think it's going to get one off season for Shedeur Sanders, and I expect him next year to be a lot better. I don't think he's going to do well this year. I think he's going to be maybe average at best. It's just, guys, it's game speed. You got to see it.
Will he play? Do you think
he will play? He will play.
You're saying he'll play.
He will play. I just think the game's going to be too fast. And I think that offseason is where he's going to have. Here's what I'm telling you. He's got bad habits.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to fix that.
Stefanski fixed this. Everyone's saying Stefanski's a guru.
No, he won't.
And they have a good connection. Colin Cowherd, so they have a good connection.
He won't fix it because he won't have the reps in practice.
Yeah,
got to have reps.
There isn't yet necessarily a track record of Kevin Stefanski developing a quarterback. McVay had
never developed a quarterback.
McVay developed like a Goff from the ground up, or somebody like that.
Yep. It's what I said. Off-season coach
with Mahomes from the ground up.
Correct.
I mean, drafting a quarterback and that quarterback playing well and succeeding well in that system. He took over Cousins from another offensive coordinator. He took over Baker Mayfield from Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
So
we have to see Stefanski develop a rookie young quarterback, not just take on a veteran.
Yes.
I think that there's a chance he could do good with Shedeur. Here's my problem about Shedeur. I don't think he's ready. He's a project. And when more will need to, he's going to have to develop more. He's going to have a better off season as far as his, getting his habits, his approach to the game, getting the ball out. All that stuff's going to have to be worked out in the off season. And I just don't think this year he won't have those skills to really shine in the regular season. Okay, we're going to move on to the last topic, and then we're going to get into some NFL news and notes. And we just got one question, and that is, what NFL player are you most excited to see this season? And we will turn to Mr. Dave Greenshield. Dave, give us your thoughts on what player you're most excited to see.
This week, I mean, maybe over the course of the season, I'm going to start with rookie Cam Ward. The least talked about number one pick I've ever heard of in an NFL draft, especially for a quarterback, I've ever seen. He's had a really good preseason. I'm hearing good things. The first week, he's going against a really good Denver defense. A Denver team I picked to win their division. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve Moretzer. I do believe this is a top 5 defense in the NFL. Obviously they have the reigning defensive player of the year in Patrick Surtain. Benito, they just resigned their best pass rusher, gave him a big-time contract. This will be a test. I'm really interested to see what he can do, and really interested to see what defensive coordinator Vance Joseph, what kind of blitz packages he throws at him, especially being a rookie quarterback. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be watching. The concern I have about him, and I've said this since his days at Miami, and this was one of the things I doubted about. I also doubted his competition a little bit in the ACC, taking advantage of some weak ACC defenses. But one of the things I had doubts about him was ball security, and I noticed that in college. He has the arm, but sometimes he can play a little fast and loose with the ball. He does have 2 really good veteran receivers in Ridley and Lockett. The Titans invested in the offensive line, 3 free agents, and 2 draft picks, so they tried to build up that group. But, the interesting thing to see is he's going against one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. It's not easy for a rookie, even a talented one that had 38 college starts under his belt. That's what I like about him, though. That's one thing in doing the deep dive.
He's got enough reps.
He's got the reps.
He does.
And that's one thing. I noticed that's what you liked about Dylan Gabriel. We've talked about this. A lot of the quarterbacks that succeed in the NFL, Steve, Brent, are quarterbacks that played a lot of college ball.
And enough competition.
That's true.
And Shedeur Sanders, he had some, but not as much as Ward and Gabriel as far as big games. Go ahead.
One other point of encouragement: his team named him captain. I know he's a rookie. He's in his first start, but let's see what he's got.
Yeah, very well said, Dave. We will get to Mr. Steve Retzer. Steve, I'm wanting to hear what you had to say here. What player excites you? I think I know who it might be, but go right ahead, Steve. Tell us what player you're looking forward to see this upcoming season.
Well, boys, my player is Travis Hunter, Jacksonville, wide receiver / cornerback.
Cornerback, Steve?
/ corner, yeah.
Cornerback.
A rare two-way player in the modern-day NFL. You don't see that too often. You got him playing week 1 against the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be a must-see TV ball game. Everyone's going to be watching this. I want to see him make catches. I want to see him make tackles. It's going to be a real treat, guys. I'm curious to see how often he will be on the field on defense.
Yeah,
I want to see him in there. I'm almost more excited to see him on defense than I am offense.
Me too.
I don't know if that sounds crazy to you guys.
We were talking about rookies before the season, and that's the interesting thing. 100 or so years of NFL tells us that it's this is a tough thing to do, to be a full-time NFL starting corner and wide receiver. I think this only lasts for a period of time.
Do you think it gets through the whole season, though?
I have my doubts.
How about you?
I have my doubts on that. You might see it a little bit in the beginning. I don't see it midway or towards the end.
Now, to be fair, Jacksonville needs an impact player in both areas because their secondary's been a little bit weaker. And on top of that, they need a number 2 receiver opposite of Brian Thomas.
Yeah, he's 2 for 1. I mean, you have him if that's what you want.
I think he plays the whole season on both ways. That's what I think.
Really?
Will he stay healthy, though?
He will stay healthy. They're going to do it. You know why I say that? Is because he's a rookie and he's young, and this is the year he's going to be able to pull it off.
Well, let's wait for that first injury. I know. That might shake that coaching staff.
But here's what I think, though. They're not going to play him normal reps in these games. They're gonna go soft on him a little bit. They're gonna let him ease into both sides. But keep going.
Him and Brian Thomas might not be out there the whole time.
Exactly.
Thomas will be out there. Maybe Hunter will not be, since they're
gonna have a proper rotation, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, here's my bold statement.
Go ahead, Steve.
And this would be fun. I mean, I don't, just hear this out now. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but wouldn't this be something? I would love to see him catch a touchdown pass from Trevor Lawrence and run back an interception thrown by Bryce Young for a touchdown. Imagine if he had one on offense, one on defense, and Jacksonville's at home. They proved they drafted the right guy. It was okay to give the Browns the 2 first-round draft picks. They win at home. Travis Hunter's the reason why. He's the game changer, and he wins this game for the Jaguars. Would that not be something, guys?
Did you want to see Travis Hunter in a Browns uniform, Steve?
I did, but when we got that other first-round draft, that made me more excited.
You had to do it.
I felt we had so many needs. The Browns had so many needs.
Absolutely.
And Jacksonville gave up, I think, too much. But if he could do this, what I just said, it'd be something.
Yeah, I like the Browns trade as well. I thought that was a better. There's too many needs. 100%.
And if you're in a rebuild mode, you have to do it.
Yeah, good call in there. But no, Steve, I think Hunter is going to be great, and I'm looking forward to his play this year. And it's something unique. When's the last time you saw two-way?
Well, a little bit with Dion.
Dion.
But he kind of played around a little bit at wide receiver. He was
you're right.
a high percentage of the time with the Cowboys playing cornerback.
And then some guys were punt returners, right, or different things like that. But two-way. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, guys, I'm going to get to my player I want to see the most. And I've been telling you guys this for a while, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
What?
Yeah,
what?
And
he's still hanging around in the NFL.
Yeah, he's still in there. He's not on vacation right now,
smoking cannabis somewhere.
I've always been a fan of Aaron, and yes, he's annoyed me the last few years with some of the jargon, on those help me out McAfee and. He has been annoying. Don't you guys agree? He's been annoying.
Yep.
But the Jets are dysfunctional. Now he's with the Steelers. He's got a better organization. Starring Steve Retzer. The Steelers are a good team, good organization.
How's Mike Tomlin going to put up with them? I'd love to hear I'd love to hear the answer to this, Brent. Please tell me. Please.
He's going to put earbuds in.
Hey, friend of the show. Friend of the show, Mark from the bar, says it's only a matter of time before Will Howard takes over that job.
I hate Steve Retzer's question's a good one because Tomlin, he doesn't like that annoying.
He doesn't want no tolerance. I don't know.
You know, we don't want that.
He doesn't care who he is. The Steelers have won rings before.
Yeah. So, you know, I think Aaron didn't do well with the Jets. Got the injury year one.
Yeah.
Year two, we talked about it. He did better toward the end.
There was a sample size of games where he was playing better football towards the end of the season. There's no doubt about that. However, I still wonder how good this situation is for him. You know, I was kind of comparing the two rosters. I mean, there's some other holes on the Steelers roster.
Very true.
Especially when you look at offensive line, who's going to come through as that number 2 receiver? Do they have a consistent running game? And this is at a point in Aaron Rodgers' career where he probably needs all the help he can get around him.
That's true.
Yeah. They're only missing the quarterback, so
I feel like he won't turn it over. I feel like, you know, he's gonna do better. They're a better organization, better culture. And
You're a culture guy.
I'm a big culture guy. You know, this other guy, Vrabel, he's good culture too. Steve's buddy, Vrabel. I think Rodgers, you know, I see a good season for him. Will he be like he was in the Packers? No, he will not.
No. But remember, he beat the Steelers, the team he's playing.
That's he did in the Super Bowl.
2010
yeah, he did. So, that's kind of my take on it. I got Rodgers having a pretty decent season.
By the way, Brent, that game one of us may be talking about this week, that Jets-Steelers tilt.
Yeah.
I find that one to be interesting.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, no doubt. We'll be looking forward to that. All right, guys, final thoughts. Let's go around the table here. Dave, give us your final thoughts on the episode.
Well, I really enjoyed it. It was good to kind of, set maybe some expectations for the Browns season. Talk about some players we're interested in seeing. Obviously, I think it was important for us to address the Judkins situation. And, I'm excited for us to talk about players that we want to watch this season and we're looking forward to. How about you, Steve?
Oh, guys, same. I'm excited. I can't believe week 1 is Sunday. And these other players that we're going to address later in the season, I'm just really excited, guys. I mean, what a fun time.
Yeah, looking forward to week 1 preview coming up here on Sunday.
Yes.
And we'll be ready to go. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one.